Hey guys, welcome back. So today I am back with another foundation video. This video is going to be a review on the Maybelline Dream Cushion Foundation. I was really intrigued by this foundation because it was supposed to be full coverage, but also luminous or a radiant finish, which you guys know I'm a huge fan of. I do have dry skin. I also have some fine lines and wrinkles on my skin. I do break out at times as well. So I was excited to try this foundation to see if it would withhold this face of mine. So again, this is the Dream Cushion Foundation by Maybelline. Cushion foundations are all of the rage right now. There's so many brands coming out with cushion foundations. I love it because it's so convenient. You can literally just put your brush or your beauty sponge right into the product and then apply it directly to the base, which is super convenient, especially if you're going to be out on the go. And it's also very travel friendly because this is all you need and maybe a beauty sponge. It does come with a little sponge applicator like this, but personally I would not use that with this foundation. You totally could if you wanted to. I just prefer to use a beauty blender or a beauty sponge of some sort. I just like the application a little bit better, but it does come with that built into it. And then the little flap right here is where you actually open the foundation, and that's the cushion. So backtracking a little bit to the actual foundation. So this is what the packaging looks like. Very compact, almost looks like a powder packaging. You get 0.51 fluid ounce of foundation in this, and the standard amount of foundation that you get in a foundation bottle is 1 fluid ounce. So compared to a bottle of foundation, this is 1 fluid ounce, so you would actually get like half of the product in this cushion. So this does retail for $16 or $15.99 at the drugstore, which does seem a little bit pricey, but drugstore prices are going up. I kind of feel like it's the norm nowadays for foundations to be over $10 at the drugstore. But with that being said, you are only getting half the amount of product that you would get in a standard fluid ounce of foundation. But this could last you the same amount of time as a standard fluid ounce of foundation because the coverage is so high with this product. It definitely is a solid medium coverage in my opinion, but can be built up to full coverage very easily without looking cakey. And if you were someone that does like a more sheer coverage, you wouldn't even use, half the amount of product. You would just go in with a very light hand and then apply the product, and you would get a lot more use out of this. Just wanted to throw that out there. It is half the amount of product in a standard fluid ounce of foundation. As far as the shade range, it does come in 8 shades, which is not the best shade selection in my opinion. So it does go from shade 10, which is porcelain, all the way to 60, which is cocoa. Still only having 8 shades, that's a very limited shade selection, so that could be a downfall if you're someone that has a very, very light skin or a very dark skin. But the shade that I do have, I would have to say matches me perfectly, especially if I do have a self tan, but it's starting to wear off a little bit. This shade matches me absolutely perfect. And this is in the shade 30 Warm Tan. No, just kidding. It's in the shade 30 Warm Nude. And I feel like I can even make this work when I do have a full self tan, especially if I just bronze up a little bit more. But if I'm totally fair, this is a little too dark for me. So that right off the bat is kind of a downfall, that it only has 8 shades to choose from. I'm sure that they'll end up bringing out more if the foundation goes over really well. At least I would hope so, just so that more people can take advantage of the foundation and use it, obviously. And like I just mentioned a minute ago, it can be built up to a full coverage. Right off the bat, I would say it's a medium coverage foundation. On my skin at least, I do have a lot of hyperpigmentation right through here, and with 1 layer, it does cover it really well. But with just a little bit more, I can build it up to a full coverage. But if you are someone looking for just a sheer coverage, just to basically even out the skin tone, you could definitely get that with this foundation as well. So I think that that's everything that I wanted to mention before I jump into the demo. So let's go ahead and just jump into it. I did go ahead and moisturize when I woke up this morning and washed my face. I used the First Aid Beauty Ultra Repair Cream. I've talked about this before on my channel. It's a really great daytime moisturizer, especially if you do have some dry patches on your skin or just dry skin in general, but it's also really great for sensitive skin, and it wears well under makeup. So I went ahead and applied that. And then for primer, I went ahead and applied the Milani Prime Light. I usually don't use a primer in my first impressions videos or my reviews, but because I have been testing this foundation out, I know how I like it. So I just wanted to share with you guys what I personally have been using and liking. So for the sake of today's video, I thought I would just show you guys what this looks like under foundation as well. So again, this is the Milani Prime Light Primer. And this primer actually isn't like really strobing, even though it says that it's supposed to be strobing and pore minimizing. It's more like a sheen on the skin versus something that's like more luminous. You guys know I'm a huge fan of the L'Oreal Light Infusing Primer, and that one is definitely more stroby versus this one. This one's just more like you know, like a glowy sheen. Okay, so now let's go ahead and jump into the foundation demo. So again, I'm gonna be using the Maybelline Dream Cushion Foundation. The shade that I have is number 30, Warm Nude. There are only 8 shades in this foundation, which is kind of a kicker, but this one does seem to match me pretty well, especially if I have a light self tan on, which it's fading a lot right now, but this foundation will still work for me for today. So this is what it looks like. You basically just open it like that. And right here on the front, you actually get this little sponge, which I'm not gonna use with the foundation. I sometimes keep these and use these for powder if I need to like touch up an area or something, but I'm not gonna be using it to apply the foundation today. And then you just open this little slot right here, and then that is the cushion foundation. And I'm just gonna take a damp beauty blender. This has been dampened, but it's been wringing out a lot because when I am using a more luminous foundation, I wanna make sure that I get most of the water out of my sponge, just so that I'm not diluting the product even more, especially with the cushion foundation because it's already very liquidy, you know? So I'm just gonna take my beauty blender and press it into the foundation like that and start pressing it on to my face. Right off the bat, this has a solid medium coverage. If you wanted it to be a little bit more sheer, you could just go in with a light tap and then apply, but I went in with a pretty generous like pounce. But again, if you wanted less coverage, you could just go in with a lighter hand when you're going to pick up the product. I love how easy it is to apply this foundation because you're just dipping your sponge in and then just popping it right on your face. You don't have to squeeze out any product. You don't have to worry about the mess of applying it to the back of your hand. You just dip right into the cushion and get the product and apply it to your face. So it's just super convenient and easy to do. The thing that I've never liked about cushion foundations is that the coverage usually is very minimal or very sheer. But this one actually gives a lot of coverage without looking cakey, which is always a plus because I am someone that likes a fuller coverage foundation, but I don't like to have cake face. So this one is like the best of both worlds. All right, so that is one full layer on this side of my face, and of course this side has nothing. As you can see, it's a solid medium coverage. You do still see just a little bit of my darkness peeking through, like the hyperpigmentation right here, but that can easily be covered up with just another layer. So I'm gonna show you how buildable it is. Again, just taking my sponge and dipping in here, and I'm just gonna pop it on the areas that I need just a little bit more coverage. And it just kind of melts into the skin. I'm not getting cakey at all. It just layers really, really nicely. So that is about 1.5 layers of the foundation on this side of my face. I'm gonna go ahead and move to this side and put a layer of the foundation on. And it is a luminous foundation, but it's not like overly luminous, if that makes sense. It definitely does give you a glow if you are someone that does have oily skin. I'm not sure how well you would like it, but if you are someone that has normal to dry skin, I think that you would really like the finish of it because it just gives a very like healthy looking skin kind of look versus being like so luminous and greasy. But if you are someone with oily skin, I don't know that you would love this foundation just because I feel like it could look like you're oily. But let's say you are someone with oily skin and you do prefer a fuller coverage foundation, but you want it to look, you know, a little bit more luminous. I think that this would be a great foundation. I would just be worried if you're someone that has acne and you're applying this because it is gonna give a sheen on your acne spots. So that's not always the most attractive look. And that's not something like most people with acne want. Like you don't wanna bring attention to your acne. I don't necessarily think this foundation would maybe like be the best foundation for you if you're just wanting like a nice even canvas. But let's say you do have like a little bit of acne in some spots and then the rest of your face is clear. This could be a foundation you could kind of like spot foundation with and just go in on those like more clear areas or like dry patches, because this works really well over dry patches. It does not cling at all. It hasn't clung onto any of my dry patches at all, which is really great. So it's a great foundation to make you look like you have healthy skin, but also add a lot of coverage. So I'm just dabbing my beauty blender back into the foundation and just getting a little bit more to cover this area right here where I have, you know, my hyperpigmentation. Bring it down my neck just a little bit, just to blend things out. And this is very lightweight. I can't even tell that I have foundation on when I wear this, which is awesome. It's just very skin-like, but gives the effect of having a full coverage foundation on because it is fuller coverage, which is awesome. So this is both sides of my face with the foundation on, and I did about 1.5 layers on both sides. And as you can see, it's not cakey at all. It's not settling into any of my fine lines. I do have a line right there in the middle of my forehead that I talk about in every foundation review. But the reason why I want to mention it is because it's something that drives me nuts, and usually every foundation settles into that, but when I use this foundation, it doesn't. Like, I don't know if it's the luminous properties in here that kind of just like wipe over it, but it does not settle. And I notice as I wear this through the day, it doesn't even settle into it. And it also doesn't settle into my smile lines, which is really awesome. I also have some fine lines right through this area. I just have a little bit of foundation there. I don't have my concealer on yet, but it's not settling anywhere on my face, which is awesome. My face just looks very glowy and hydrated, like I have a healthy, like radiant skin, which I don't. But if I did, this is what it would look like, I'm sure. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply some concealer under my eyes, some bronzer, a little bit of blush, and then I'll be back to show you guys what it looks like with all of that layered on top of this foundation. All right, so I just went and threw on some other makeup really quick. I did some blush, bronzer, some highlight. Just used this stick highlight from Laura Geller. What else did I do? And then I just put a little bit of lip on, but that really doesn't matter. Anything else that I did? Concealer under my eyes. And that is it. But I'll just go ahead and say I love this foundation. I've been wearing it every single day just as like my go-to foundation. It's just so easy and convenient to apply because you just dip your beauty blender in it and then apply it to your face. But I will say the little makeup artist in me is coming out and is like, sanitation. If you are gonna be using this foundation on the reg, and you're gonna be using your beauty blender or your beauty sponge or whatever you're gonna be using, make sure that you sanitize it after you use it because you are going to be dipping directly in here. And if you have active breakouts and you're dipping in this, bacteria can get in it, and then you're just going to be spreading that bacteria back onto your face, and then the foundation is just going to become like this contaminated mess. And I mean, no one wants to intentionally break themselves out, and you can if you're not, you know, sanitary, and not even realize it if you're not sanitizing the applicator that you're applying the foundation with. So that's just my 2 cents on that. I'm just very like cautious because, you know, my makeup brushes break me out sometimes if I haven't washed them in a while, and nobody needs that. Nobody wants that. You know, if you can prevent yourself from breaking out, do it, you know? So besides that, I think the foundation just looks so beautiful under makeup. I think it just wears really, really well. It does still transfer a little bit if you don't set it with a powder. I usually don't set mine with a powder, but I don't really have like issues of rubbing my clothes up on my face. But if it were to be wintertime and I was wearing like my big chunky coat and scarves, I would probably set this area right here just so that wouldn't happen to me. But the overall finish of it is absolutely beautiful. And again, it hasn't settled into any of my fine lines, my little wrinkle right there, anything like that. And I just feel like my face just looks very even, but still very radiant. And just like I have healthy skin, which ultimately is my goal. Like, I want my skin to look nice. I want my foundation to look like it's not like all cakey and made up. I want it to be just very like even and flawless and pretty for the other makeup that I apply over top of it. Just want that even canvas, but still look like, you know, like I didn't pile like 4 pounds of makeup on my face. So with all of that being said, I definitely recommend this foundation for someone with normal to dry skin. Again, if you have oily skin, that's kind of a toss-up. If you like to be very like luminous and dewy even though you have oily skin, I would say go for this if you're someone that likes like a more fuller coverage. But I definitely think if you have oily skin, you're going to be powdering this foundation throughout the day a lot. But for us dry skin girls, I think that this is an awesome foundation. It really wears nicely on me too. I can get about 6 to 8 hours out of this foundation without it starting to just, you know, not break up, but kind of, what do I want to say? It almost just like wears off. You know, the product starts breaking down a little bit. It doesn't start like separating. It just looks like it's time to reapply more foundation. Does that make sense? But it just starts to dissipate. If that makes sense. It's kind of a weird terminology. Around the 6 to 7 hour mark, my discoloration start to pop out, like around this area. And then of course I notice right down here if I'm not setting it because I'll do this during the day, which I know I shouldn't be like touching my face, but it happens. That's when I start noticing the foundation to wear off, but I think it's a really great everyday foundation. Again, I think it's so convenient and I love the coverage of it. Solid medium can be built up to full really quickly without looking cakey, but it can also be a very sheer coverage and just look like you have like a BB cream on, very sheer, if you just use a less product. So I just think it's a really great versatile product. Again, I love the finish of it and I think it's perfect for every day. So it is approved by me for my dry skin. I just think it's an awesome foundation from the drugstore. It is pricey though. That's the only thing. Like, it is $16, but you do get convenience, you get full coverage, and I don't know, I like it, so I'm gonna be using it. If you guys have tried it, please be sure to let me know in the comments. Or if you plan on picking it up, let me know that in the comments as well. Also, be sure to let me know any other foundation videos you guys want me to do here on my channel. If you're new here and you haven't watched my previous videos, I am doing foundation reviews every week for the month of March. So if you have any suggestions of anything that you would like to see, please let me know in the comments. I'm a total foundation junkie, no shame here. I love trying out new foundations. I'm always on the hunt for a really good foundation that's going to make my skin look really good and just make me have a nice even base to feel confident in to apply the rest of my makeup. So I hope you guys found this video helpful. Be sure to give it a thumbs up for me so that I know that you like this, and please feel free to share it with anyone that's looking for a really good full coverage foundation that you can get at the drugstore. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in my next one. Bye.